welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sarah, and today I am filming for you my 28-week pregnancy update. Last update I did was at 25 weeks, so this is covering the past 3 or so weeks of my pregnancy. This is my second time filming this update for you guys because first of all, the first time it didn't focus for some reason, and second of all, some things have changed. It's a day later, so let's get into this. First off, I wanted to give you a little bit of a life update because, as some of you know, I've been having some health issues that are not necessarily related to pregnancy, but they kind of have been affecting some things related to pregnancy, and it's just, I feel like, useful information in terms of my overall health right now. So I have poison ivy mostly on my right arm, but it's been spreading to other parts of my body. It is now on my stomach. There's a couple small spots, but they're starting to get worse. And then I do have some on my boobs and a little bit on my chest, a little bit by my eye. So if you watched my most recent vlog for 4th of July, my eye was pretty swollen and that has gone down a little bit, but I still have some marks by my eye, and the eyelid is a little bit swollen still. So that has been extremely mostly annoying because it's really hard to sleep. During the day I don't notice it much. I'm wearing clothes, I'm moving around, I'm dealing with my toddler. It's not a big deal, but at night I already have a lot of trouble sleeping because I do have, I guess it would be like a mild form of pregnancy insomnia. It's not where I'm up all night, but it takes me a really long time to go to sleep, and then I wake up frequently, and every time I wake up I'm wide awake and can't go back to sleep. So with that combined with itching all the time, it's just not good. And as time has gone, I've had this rash for about 2 weeks now. As time goes, more and more parts of my body are itching that don't even have a rash or anything on it. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, but it just seems like more and more my body is itching to the point where it's pretty much my whole body now. I don't have poison ivy everywhere, but it's just making me itch everywhere for some reason. And about a week ago, I did have some mouth ulcers or canker sores, and I don't know if that was related or not, but that's a whole nother issue that I was having in the past couple weeks that is now cleared up. But I've never had canker sores before, and it was so painful. It was extremely hard to eat. So because of that, I was on mostly a liquid diet for a couple days. I did lose a little bit of weight there. I think I'm starting to gain it back, but that was a definite struggle on top of everything else. And then the last piece of the puzzle is my son had a cold a few weeks ago. He gave that to me, so you can probably tell I'm a little bit stuffed up. I had a headache for a while, just a lot of head sinus pressure. That makes it more difficult to sleep too. So I've been taking Tylenol on and off. I haven't in the past few days because I'm starting to feel a little bit better in terms of the cold. So I was taking Tylenol a little bit, and then the doctors all recommended that I take Benadryl, which makes me a little bit nervous. I don't want to be taking Benadryl all the time, and I don't know, maybe that's completely safe for pregnancy, but just taking medication in general when I'm pregnant just makes me feel uncomfortable, and I don't like to do it unless it's absolutely necessary. So taking Benadryl at night to help me sleep honestly feels absolutely necessary at this point because I'm getting no sleep, and if I do stay up all night long, I'm itching like crazy, and then I wake up and it's just so much worse. So I have been taking that at night only. I've just been taking one pill, and it seems to really help me sleep, which is good, but it's also kind of scary because I hate knowing that it makes me sleep so much better, and I feel like I'm gonna want to take it all the time. So hopefully the itching can stop, so then I can stop taking the Benadryl and I can just move on from that. But as of right now, I am taking that at night only. I think that kind of summarizes all of the health issues that I've been having. So jumping into what's actually pregnancy related, I turned 28 weeks on Saturday, and I'm filming this on Monday, so a few days ago, and by everyone in the world pretty much, I am considered in the 3rd trimester, which is really exciting and a little bit overwhelming because we do not have a name picked out. The nursery is starting to get there, but it's pretty empty, and I have not washed the clothes, I have not washed sheets and organized things. Pretty much all I've done at this point is got all of the stuff out of that room that we don't need for the baby and put all of the baby stuff in that room. I need to do a lot of organizing and cleaning and all of that still, but we are at least getting closer. But by this point in my 1st pregnancy, I was like done with the whole room. We had the name picked out. I was just sitting around waiting for the baby to come because I was so ready. But this time, I mean, you have a toddler, so it's going to be harder, but also I just feel like there's so many things I'm like having a hard time making decisions on, like even like nursery theme and color and all of that. So it's just taking a little bit longer. Maybe it's just harder because it's a girl and it's just different. Being in the 3rd trimester now just makes this so much more real and kind of feels like we're, you know, so close to the end. I feel like this pregnancy just got started, honestly. Like, I haven't had a whole lot of time to process and like really like sit with the idea that I'm going to have another baby, because also it really helps me to have the name, and since we don't have the name, it's just hard for me to like really connect and like have it like hit home for me, I think. So once we can do that, that's going to help a lot. But it's crazy to think that we're already at 28 weeks in this pregnancy. So in terms of my stomach size, my weight gain, all of that stuff, I have gained, depending on the day, like anywhere between 6 and 7 pounds. I did lose a little bit of weight, like I mentioned, starting to gain that back. And I've mentioned before, I started this pregnancy with a high BMI, so the doctors are not needing me to gain a bunch of weight. So honestly, they're kind of fine with whatever happens. They would be way more concerned if I was gaining a bunch of weight than not gaining anything. So I think we're fine there, but just know that that's low in terms of what the average person would gain at this point. And then my stomach size, I mean, I'm getting a little bit bigger, but between like 25 and 28 weeks, I don't feel like I noticed a huge change. It's honestly not harder to sleep. I haven't had much back pain or anything like that. I'm just so focused now on like not being able to breathe well because of my cold and itching all the time that I don't even like think about, oh, my stomach hurts or I'm uncomfortable. Like, that's kind of like the last priority. So honestly, like over the last few weeks, sleeping has not been more difficult because of pregnancy. I feel like I'm just kind of about the same size. Nothing seems that much different there. In terms of food cravings and aversions, still craving sweets like crazy, but nothing else really jumps out at me. I'll have days where I want to eat a ton of food, and then I'll have days where I feel kind of bloated and gross and I just don't want to eat a lot of food. And it might depend on where she's positioned and how she's flipping and what she's pressing on and all of that stuff, but it kind of varies day by day right now. I don't think I'm at the point in my pregnancy where she's so big that I'm not able to eat a lot. I think she is still fairly small, so I still have a little bit of room in my stomach, and there's definitely days where I eat a ton of food. One new thing that has been happening over the past few weeks is my feet have been getting tingly and like that feeling where your feet are going to sleep essentially. Just randomly, like when I'm just sitting on the couch or driving the car or whatever. And that never happened in my first pregnancy, so I thought that was odd. But then when I Google it, when I ask the doctors, everyone's like, that's completely normal because the baby can press on certain things in your uterus, I guess, that like cut off, maybe not cut off completely, but like limit the blood flow to your legs. So apparently that's normal, but I've just never experienced that before, so that was kind of random. But that's happening pretty consistently now. Almost every day I'll feel a little bit of that here and there. The last thing that I wanted to update you guys on is I had a doctor's appointment on Friday, so a few days ago, and that was my like pretty much 28-week appointment. I was 1 day before 28 weeks. And so they listened to the heartbeat, they measured my stomach, everything looked and sounded great. My blood pressure was actually really great, really happy about that. But I did need to do the glucose test. So that was just the 1 hour. We did it. I felt pretty good. I've had a lot of history with the glucose test in the past, so just to kind of give you an update. On my first pregnancy, I took the 1 hour early because I have a large history of diabetes in my family, and I thought there's probably a good chance that I'm gonna get gestational diabetes because it just runs in my family. So I took it at like maybe 14 weeks. I took the 1 hour and I failed it because I did not know I was supposed to completely fast. I had lunch before, so just obviously I was not going to pass that, and I was not prepared. But I didn't fail it that bad. So then I took the 3 hour and I passed. They made me take the 3 hour again when I was about 28 weeks, and I passed that. So did not have gestational diabetes in my first pregnancy. This time around, I did not take it early. I just waited until the normal time at about 28 weeks, did the 1 hour on Friday, and I honestly did not think there was going to be any issues because I did fast. My appointment was at 8 a.m. and I had like a handful of almonds before, drank some water, felt pretty good. Since I was close to passing my last pregnancy, I thought there would be no issues this time around, but I just a few hours ago got a call that I failed my glucose test on Friday. So I have to take the 3 hour this coming Friday in a few days. And I'm not quite sure why. I mean, I guess a lot of people get gestational diabetes and they didn't really feel like they should, or there was no real reason for it. They just kind of randomly got it. And I don't know if it's based on genetics or just kind of a bunch of factors that are hard to understand, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I did fail it pretty significantly though. I think they want you to be at 135 or under, and I was 165. So the only thing I can think of is, one, I haven't been exercising and like taking care of myself at all because I've been so sick and just kind of eating whatever I wanted and not exercising, and so that's going on. One thing that I can think of that might have caused me to fail it, which I don't know. There's so many things that could, I feel like, affect your blood sugar that I don't know, and I guess we'll never know. But if I do take this 3 hour and I fail it, I feel like there's a chance that because my body is under so much stress right now, and I have rash everywhere, and I have this cold, I feel like there's a chance that my blood sugar is just high because of all those things. Because I know when you're like a type 1 or type 2 diabetic, your blood sugar can be high because of like stress-induced things on your body. So I don't know if there's a chance that that's affecting it, because when I took the test on Friday, I was at like just a really bad place with my rash, and just my eye was super swollen, and I just was under a lot of stress, and I still am. I'm still like really itchy and red and still struggling pretty bad. So I don't know if that will affect it at all. I did go to the emergency room this past Wednesday because the rash was getting so bad and I wasn't sure if it was poison ivy or not. So I went to the emergency room on Wednesday. They confirmed it was poison ivy. Then on Friday I did my glucose test, and who knows what's going on. But just touching on the emergency room thing real quick. When I went there, I mean, there's not a whole lot that they can do for you. They told me, like, being pregnant, you can use those topical creams and all of that, and you can take Benadryl, but there's not a lot they could help me with, so they sent me home pretty quickly. But while I was there, they did check out the baby because I was so far along. They just felt like they needed to just make sure everything sounded good and the baby looked good and everything. So they did essentially like a non-stress test, and they monitored the heart rate and the kicks and all that for about 20 minutes, and she was going crazy. Everything looked awesome, so that was all good, and it was kind of nice, honestly, to have that opportunity to monitor the baby, just because at this point in your pregnancy, a lot of times you don't get a lot of chances. You have like your 20-week anatomy scan, and then they're just like, all right, well, tell us if you have a problem. And so you're kind of on your own for a while. So it was nice to really know that she's doing well. But just in general, going to the emergency room, and I went by myself because my husband was watching my son. I didn't really have another option there. So going to the emergency room by yourself alone is a stress-inducing situation. And then with my body just in as bad a shape as it is, I just feel like there's definitely a chance that my glucose levels are screwed up because of that, but we'll see. I'm gonna try to stay positive, and even if I do have gestational diabetes, it does not mean that there's gonna be any harm to my baby or to me long term. So hopefully everything will go smoothly. The only thing I'm worried about is if I do have gestational diabetes, I feel like that's going to affect my chance of having a vaginal delivery. And this kind of goes into my last appointment I had with my doctor. I had my 28-week appointment on Friday, and he asked me again, do you want to do a VBAC or not? And I previously had been so torn, but I told him, at this point, I am sure I want to try a VBAC, and I know there's a lot of chances that it won't work out, but I at least want to aim for that, and then we'll see what happens. And he was a little bit concerned. He said, like, yes, obviously we can try that. That's no problem. It was completely up to me. But he was saying that if I do go to my due date or later, he's going to really push to do a C-section, because at that point there's a lot of risks that happen after your due date. And so they would just rather obviously do a C-section because it's easier and safer and everything. I'm sure I could talk them into waiting a little bit, especially if I am dilating. If I'm like at a 2 or a 3, I'm sure that they would wait a few more days and just like give me a chance. But if I'm not making any progress and I'm at my due date, chances are they're probably going to make me just do a C-section at that point, or at least tell me like that's what they advise. And then if I do have gestational diabetes, that makes the whole labor process a little bit more complicated because they're monitoring that, and there's more risks with that. You probably have a bigger baby. So I feel like with my HELP syndrome and gestational diabetes combined, there's probably a very, very, very small chance that I could successfully pull off a VBAC. So that's why I'm hoping that the gestational diabetes is not a thing, because it's already going to be hard to make a VBAC happen. I'm going to try some natural ways to get your body prepped for labor. So there are certain teas that you can drink that help with that, supplements and stretches and things like that that you can do to just kind of get your body ready and get the baby ready. So if I do some of that, maybe I'll be successful, but I don't know. There's a lot of what ifs right now. But I'm gonna do my 3-hour glucose on Friday, so probably in about a week I should know kind of where I stand on the gestational diabetes thing. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm trying to stay positive and just trying to get through the whole poison ivy thing, honestly. Like, that's the first hurdle that I need to get through, and then once I can tackle that and I can sleep better and just have a better quality of life, then I can, that will at least be one thing down that's making me stressed out. I think that's everything for this 28-week update. If you have any other questions, please comment down below, because I'm happy to answer whatever you guys are wondering about. If you have questions about glucose tests, taken a lot of them, if you have questions about HELP syndrome or preeclampsia, definitely ask those down below too, because I have done a lot of research on that and I have firsthand experience with that. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you are pregnant, just know that you are only pregnant for a short time, so try to enjoy it. Try to enjoy the baby kicks and the big belly and all the good things that come with pregnancy. For those, there's a lot of hard things. Your baby's going to be here really quick. I know with my first pregnancy, nothing went as planned at the end. my labor, delivery, everything was completely opposite of what I wanted, but I still had a great experience and everything worked out, and it all happens the way it's going to happen. But I feel like if you stay positive and just go with the flow and you're super flexible, it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to, and we're going to have our sweet babies in the end, and it's going to be okay. So just try to keep that in mind, even though I know pregnancy is really hard and third trimester gets even more difficult. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. Please consider subscribing if you have not, and like this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Also, stay tuned for a bump shot. I forgot to mention that, but I'm going to show you guys a bump shot right now before we end.